much of our lives inside, either in traffic at work or close eyes. How about we all agree that it's way overdue to take back our lives? I can work wherever now. You can work wherever now. Take your guard and let it down, 'cause you can work wherever now. Take your guard and let it down, 'cause you can work wherever now.
What's up, everybody, and welcome into the Work Wherever podcast. I am your host, Roy Edwards, and I'm here with Sydney Brown.
Hi, guys.
What's up, Sydney?
Hi.
This is the podcast, if this is your first time here, this is the podcast where we talk about technology, innovation, we talk about working wherever and remote work trends and culture, where we live every day like it's Saturday. So we are also live for the first time on LinkedIn, which never done that before. Didn't even know audio rooms was a thing on LinkedIn, but that's cool, I guess. So if you're listening on LinkedIn, then thanks for listening. And what are we getting into today?
We're going to talk about planning your day and all of the fun tools that Microsoft has that helps you do that.
Fun tools. Very fun tools. Yeah, so there was this article that came out not too long ago. When was this dropped? This was
Pretty recent.
I guess it was the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
I was made aware of it recently, and it's all about tips for task management and attacking your day, how to organize your day with yourself. Like if you are approaching this in some sort of a way that you want to organize your to-do list, which the application might have that exact same name, but it also goes over team projects, how to make sure that you're taking an approach on you managing your team, managing schedules, and how to bring it all together so you guys can collaborate on things. So before I get into any of that, though, I did want to go into just like routines as a whole, because I know that we've talked a little bit about that on previous podcasts where I asked you your routine, and I think you're kind of kidding a little bit.
No, I don't think so.
No?
It's not too extensive.
That was it. That was the whole.
It's easy when you're a remote worker. You don't have to do too much.
That's true. So, but what is your routine? So we can get into that first, I guess. So like, what was your routine prior to becoming a remote worker? Like, did you have a routine where you had to go to like a special, I know some people are like, I have to go to my coffee shop.
I definitely had to drive 40 minutes to work, so that added a lot of time on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would get in, check emails, I was very, into my calendar, but we also weren't very, we didn't have Teams. We didn't have any sort of software that helped us kind of communicate with each other, and it definitely was, a mess.
What about you, specifically? Was there, coffee or anything? Like, you had to, grab, a drink? Or you had to, read it? So there's some people that are like, I have to grab my paper,
So we had a kitchen downstairs, so sometimes I would, stop down there and make coffee. But nothing I, stopped and did every day. No, I just got up.
No real routine.
Went to work.
Are you a bed maker?
No.
Is your fiance a bed maker?
No.
So it's just bed. It's just the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes we make it look better, but
And what does that mean?
I'll straighten the sheet, but I don't
just straighten it out a little bit. Not fully make it, but just
You're gonna get back in what's the point?
Okay, fair enough. So there is a so I'm a bed maker most days, although I will say that I'm not a bed maker every day as much as I'd like to be. Right. I do make the bed though. The bed's made right now, actually. And so I listened to this speech. His name, I forget his name, but he was an admiral, I want to say, in the Navy.
I've heard it. Yeah. So if you make your bed, that's small tasks. Right?
Yeah, that's the point of it. Is that if you make your bed in the morning, then and you come back to it at the end of the day, you've accomplished something to start out your day, and it's compounding those small micro wins into larger things. Which there's a book that we're actually getting ready to read as an organization, The Power of One More by Ed Millett, which he gets into compounding. I mean, he gets into a whole bunch of stuff, but he talks about compounding, where you're compounding wins And so if you compound wins, small wins, then you can win the day. And if you win the day, you can compound days into months and months into years and years into a life. That's like the idea behind it. So you not having a routine is kind of, we need to work on that a little bit.
I mean, I do have like my own little routine. I'm definitely like a list maker. Okay, write things down like in order of what needs to be done.
Okay, so lists. And so when do you write this list?
More so, I mean,
it's like
now
as
I do
it goes kind of a thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I do it on my computer. I'm like a really bad person. Like, oh, it's just a running list in my head. Like, and I get it down, I think. But before, I definitely like was more of like a physical note list maker.
Writing things down.
Right.
Not using.
I mean,
the
now
computer.
I'll just like make a list.
Right, on like a Word document or something like that. What do you use?
Sometimes if I need to do it fast, but there's like also we have more in-depth lists for what we do too now.
Yeah, being in software, we use Azure DevOps, which if y'all have not heard of Azure DevOps, not DevOps the philosophy, because I think we were having this conversation right before this that we recorded this podcast where I had done a master class, which is was it like 13 videos, I think is what it is, training course on what is DevOps. It's like an introduction to DevOps course. And I think you were like, are we doing that anymore though? But it wasn't. Yeah, I think were you thinking it was Azure DevOps? Yeah. Yeah. So we use Azure DevOps. That's because you use Azure. We use Azure DevOps internally, but then which is a tool. Then there's also the thought process, the theory of DevOps, which is development and operations, is one singular
continuous.
You got it.
Cycle.
CI/CD. See?
I learned something.
You're learning. Yes, the CI/CD is continuous innovation or implementation, and continuous development. However you want to choose your I, it's all kind of the same thing. It's like you're continuously getting better and continuously to work on things. And so I did an entire podcast, and not like one singular podcast, but I did an entire series called the Innovare podcast, which Innovare was the Latin word for innovation. That's where we got did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you knew that. And that's where we got the name Innovare from. And I did 2.5 seasons, because once I got into the third season and it got all technical, I was like,
it gets hard.
This isn't Innovare anymore. We need to rebrand. And that's when
voila.
That's where we now
are.
You're all caught up. That's the cliff notes of where we got.
I think it's a good balance, you and me, because you're definitely obviously more technical.
Yeah, I think, did you call me nerd? That's a little.
I'm the fun part.
Yeah. You're the fun. You're definitely like the technical part of it.
I feel like I'm your basic consumer, right? I came into this job not knowing really anything at all about what we did. So we
keep it very close to the hip. When people ask us what it is that we do, we're like, why?
Right. Most people don't understand. So if they're not the people that are going to understand, they're probably not our clientele, to be honest.
Why do you want to know? Why do you want to know what we do?
It's not for you.
What is this? If you have to ask, then you don't know.
Right, exactly.
Then
you probably don't need it.
You wouldn't get it.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely learning, but I feel like at least we keep it at a level of where the general population can understand.
It's definitely like when I do my solo episodes, it's like definitely gets in a little deep there, but yeah, the compounding, right? So the Innovare podcast was all about innovation and how to continuously integrate and continuously development. And so DevOps, we using Azure DevOps and tracking those tasks. Jira is another tool that a lot of people are familiar with. Trello. So there's all these third-party tools. And so like what a lot of people do is they'll go out and try to buy a technology. They'll be like, ooh, buying this is going to make me so much more organized, which is ridiculous. It's just you're going to raise your overhead is what it's going to do. It's not going to do anything else. And so people automatically try to purchase things instead of trying to fix the actual problem, actually try to get organized instead of go out and purchasing things to help them be organized, which I feel like every podcast gets brought up, but it's essentially just collaborative intelligence.
Right.
We want to purchase something that can help us, not replace something.
Or they don't realize what they already have.
Right.
Within Microsoft.
That's a good point. There is a lot of tools within Microsoft 365 that you're already paying for, that people just don't even realize it. And so that's what we're going to get into today, is to, one, like pens and paper, so I'm a pen and paper person. Sounds like you are at heart, and even though you type things down. But I have my little handy dandy notebook, which is upstairs, but you saw me like scratching things on, circling things. And so that's something that I took from a gentleman named Andy Frisella, who I believe you've heard of.
Your man crush.
I do. I have a man crush on Andy. I've met him, and he's a great guy. Shook his hand, talked for a few days. Actually, I was out in St. Louis earlier this year and got to meet the guy, and that was cool. It was I met him and Ed Millette and a bunch of other guys, and it was cool. It was Inky Johnson was out there, and now I'm just name dropping just to try to like get people to realize that I'm like not a total nerd. But anyways, Andy Frisella implemented something that he calls the power list, is what he calls it. And so the power list is you write down 5 things, habits that you want to create, and you write those 5 things down. You accomplish them every single day. If you didn't get them accomplished, then you have to circle the L. So you write a W,
take a big L,
and an L, at the top of the page. If you lose the day, meaning you didn't get all 5 done, you lost. If you got all 5 things done, then you won the day, and you circle the W. And
he's big on that. There you have like 75 hard and
75 hard.
All of that, right?
That's right. And so that's kind of like the evolution of the power list. So his power list is for habit building, is to say like you have to replace things on your power list every, I think he does 21 days, I think is his thing. And so if after the 21 days you have to replace something. So if it's like go for a walk is on your list, you can't have it on day 22 because it should already be a habit of yours. You can't put it on anymore. So I took that and we run it. And so what's our morning stand-up called?
Bricks.
It's called Bricks. And so ours is we have these same 5 mission critical tasks that we call bricks. Do you know why they're called bricks?
That's how you're building your day.
That's right. Yeah, you're building. And so we say a mansion wasn't built in a day, but if you lay enough bricks, eventually
you've got a good foundation.
You get it. That's right. And so you have 5 mission critical tasks that you do in a day. You write them down. If you get them all done, you win the day. If you don't get them all done, you lose the day. Right? And then that compounds into stories and epics and a whole laundry lists of how to attack your day with project management, task management, and all that fun stuff that we won't get into really on this podcast, because there's an entire podcast called the Innovari podcast that you can go and listen to that. And I did an entire series on that, which I think it's still, the Innovari podcast I think is down now though, the website.
Maybe the website, but I know they're all still on Spotify.
Yeah,
and YouTube.
They are still on Spotify and YouTube, so you can listen to those. But we did have a landing page at one point that had all 6 episodes of how to break down project management. But we're not going to get into like the how of project management in terms of like different philosophies surrounding it today. We're going to get into organization, and we're going to get into tools. And so writing paper down and writing things down is still very much
a good tool.
A good tool. Just because there is an app doesn't mean you have to use it.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with good old pen and paper. I love pen and paper. And which, when people start with us, I give them 2 blue notebooks. Which, do you have your blue notebooks?
I do.
Do you need a new blue notebook? I have some upstairs.
I don't, but I do have one.
And so I send them blue notebooks because I think that you should be writing everything down by hand, because there's the whole dopamine thing that gets into it, which I assume you know what dopamine is and how you release dopamine.
Happiness.
That's right. It's like a little chemical in your brain that gets released when you do certain things, which is like when you get a like on Instagram or Twitter or MySpace or TikTok or Facebook or whatever.
Anything.
And you get that little notification that's like, bling. It's like, this person you don't know liked a photo that you posted. You're like, and it gives you that little mini shot of dopamine for some people. That is, that's what dopamine, and that's why social media is so successful and so addictive, is because you're constantly just getting shots of dopamine.
Right.
The same thing happens when you cross something off of a list. It's like, I got that done. You cross it off, physically cross
Do
it
the
off.
squiggle method.
You're a squiggle.
Mm-hmm.
You're a circle squiggle rather than a back and forth line.
Nope.
I don't cross the whole thing off. I cross off the number. So it'll be like 1, 2,
Oh, I
3,
hate that.
4, 5, and you don't like that?
I don't like that at all.
Why?
I don't know. It just bothers
It's just
me.
not.
I still see it.
Just
I don't
not
like
enough
it.
of a dopamine hit for
No,
you.
not
I
good.
want it completely gone off my paper.
Yep.
Okay, respect. All right, I'm not a circle squiggler though.
Mm.
I have circle squiggled, but it's not my preferred method of squiggle. I'm just a regular, like, I do the corner to corner over the number and you know.
Drive me nuts.
Hey, well, I got nothing for you.
I was like the note taker in like college and high school. That was just like perfect.
I have to circle. You're not going to see a single letter. You're not even know what those letters were when I'm done crossing them out.
You write in cursive a lot?
Okay, so fun fact, I can't read cursive.
I hear that a lot actually, and it's really sad. Like
Yeah.
kids now, like they don't know. They don't even write it, I don't think, in school. So
Yeah.
I went to private school. So I think we're required to write like since like 3rd grade. Once we learned cursive, like
Yeah.
we had to write in cursive.
Everything.
Everything.
Hmm.
Hmm. But it helped me because in like high school and college and stuff, like I would write in cursive when I took my notes and stuff, and I would write them like fast.
Do you still do that?
Sometimes.
Do you still write in cursive?
Hmm.
I don't.
It depends. I mean, honestly, I can't. I don't write that much.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't
who
even.
does unless you're writing like a letter or something.
I never
like
learned
that,
cursive.
but-
So do you sign your name in cursive?
Yeah, like hybrid.
It's just kind of like a squiggle.
I have my own little thing, but yeah, I definitely. Or if I'm like trying to write fast, I'll write like, if it not fully in cursive, at least like a mix of the two.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
How long is your signature?
I mean, mine's definitely not like a doctor's signature. Like you
Yeah.
can make out every single letter, but
Yeah. So there was now we're getting into like a little bit of psychology of that a little bit, but the way that you write things out, when you cross them off, you get dopamine. Getting back to the project management, and physically writing things out actually helps with comprehension of what it is that you're doing.
Mhm.
So if you are physically writing things out, then you'll be more likely to remember the things that you have to get accomplished. So you have the dopamine hit, you have the memorization bit of it. But there's also like shorthand and stuff like that. So
my
like
grandma does it.
to your shorthand.
I don't understand it.
So people who write more, it does not surprise me that your grandmother writes in shorthand, because she probably physically writes things a lot more than you do and me, because we grew up with technology, so we're typing and stuff like that. And so we can type faster than we write. And so if you're writing, physically writing, and that's why I asked you how long your signature was, is because people who sign their name more often have shorter signatures
Makes sense.
because they're doing it constantly, right? So they're, and typically that's doctor, to your point, or supervisor, or somebody who's signing lots of things, right?
Right.
Which was a question that came up a lot. So like in signature analyzations, when I worked for the government, is you could tell somebody's job history. Like if somebody was going after for like a senior level position, and they said that they'd been a senior level position before, and they signed their name, and it is like their full name, every letter, middle initial, like last name, then they probably haven't held now it's a generalization,
Right.
but they probably hadn't held.
Mine's like always different too.
You're just like switching it up.
Oh yeah, it always looks different.
Really?
It never looks the same.
I think that's illegal. Like on your ID. Don't you have to sign your ID?
Yeah, it probably looks different than anything
Totally
else
different,
I've
right?
heard.
It's got like hearts, like explosions, like fireworks and stuff drawn on
Little
it.
squigglies over the
Yeah.
eyes. Yes.
Yeah. To be fair though, my license, my signature license does look drastic. So all I do now is just a couple letters. Like I just kind of, it's very doctory, my signature now, because I'm just constantly signing things and I hate it. But on my license, I think I included my full name, like middle initial and everything, which is I've been called out for it. They say like your signatures don't match. Like banks do that. You know, Like I've had
Screwed.
checks come back that were like, signatures doesn't match. I'm like, well, that's because that signature was from like when I was like 18.
Right.
And now
This one's now.
I don't have time to do that anymore. You know, can't even write in cursive. I don't even write that way anymore.
No,
But-
I'm scared.
But yeah, it doesn't surprise me that your grandma writes in shorthand because that's how it is. The more that you write, the more things you're going to skip. And like think about when you're writing notes, taking notes in a meeting. You know, you're not writing like everything. You're like, you know, writing gibberish
Right.
to come back to. So the point of all that is to say that writing things down throughout your day is still my preferred method and is still a very good method when going through project management. So long as you understand what it is that you're doing, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Now, that being said, you don't have, if you are going to go the technology route, don't go out and buy software first. Look what you already have. And if you have Microsoft, Sydney and I are about to go over three tools?
I think it's 5.
5 tools.
5 different tools, or
Wow.
5 different, within different applications.
Wow. It is 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me ask you about your email. What does that look like?
My email?
Hmm. How
So-
do you keep track of that?
So yeah. First off, I hate email.
Yes.
I hate it.
I love that.
Message me
About
on
this
Teams.
company.
Yeah. I hate email. Now, if you don't work for me,
Our clients love it.
feel free to email
unfortunately.
me. Feel free to email me all you want. If you work for me and you send me an email, then we're gonna have beef. So how do I manage my inbox? I think there's 2 different types of people. There are the people who just let it go, and then they're
Just stacks up.
unread emails are crazy, and which I know a few people live with.
That's like my junk mail. I probably have at least 80,000.
You just haven't cleared it out.
Yeah.
Like, don't check it. I'm
No.
like that too.
But my regular email, I will.
Pretty organized.
Get it down to 0. Have different folders.
Yep.
Do you
And
flag things?
I do flag
Okay.
and pin. And do you know how to pin an email?
Yeah.
Yep. And you pin it to the very top. Now the web browser of Outlook is really good with that. Whereas if you pin emails, it'll have all of your emails pinned and they'll stay up there. Otherwise, in the Outlook desktop application, pinning's a little bit different. It's flagging, and it flags it red, and you can show your flagged emails and stuff like that. But
Right.
yeah, I do that. I don't use folders as much as I used to, simply because I'm not dealing with as many internal things.
Right.
But yeah, you use folders?
Yeah, that's how I found those links today, like super quick.
You
That we were
did find
looking
them
for.
pretty quickly. See, I'm a
Mhm.
search. That's why I really hate Outlook, is because I feel like I'm constantly getting lost and that I have to search
Yeah.
for things. Which one of the tactics here is flagged emails.
Flag the emails, and then it's saying that Microsoft To Do
Mm-hmm.
is its own application, and that's basically changing your flagged emails into a list for you on Microsoft
Yeah.
To Do.
Yeah, which if you have Microsoft To Do, I strongly urge you to download it into download the desktop application, and it will bring your flagged emails, like you're saying.
Mhm.
It'll be like, hey, did you remember to do this? And it kind of gives you a nudge a little bit, right? So this is very much on the personal realm, personal space of management, project management, more so management of your day and
Right.
how to approach your day and how to tackle it. Writing things down, I think you should use bricks. I think it's great. If you want to know more about bricks, you can, go to our website or listen to the old podcast. But otherwise, use Microsoft To Do, free tool, syncs with your Outlook, flagged things become items that will remind you to follow up with things. There's also the My Analytics that goes into Outlook where it'll say like, hey, FYI, don't forget that Sydney asked you for this thing 4
I
days
get
ago.
this sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, about you.
That I haven't followed up with Roy. He hasn't gotten back to
Rory
you on
sent
this.
you 20 messages in a row.
Yeah, that is a thing.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's my job.
And you can create tasks from email content as well, which those tasks would go into To Do. And so To Do is, it's a list application, essentially is what it is.
Mhm.
It does sync with another application, which we're going to get into here in a second, but it's think of it, it's like it's just a list of things that you want to get accomplished. And then do you use To Do? You don't?
I don't think so.
Not
Maybe.
really. I don't really use it. I use it more in like my personal phone task reminders. So there is an Android app that I have, and so like you can see my tasks there at the top that I keep on my phone.
Yes.
And
I
so
have
it's
that.
like, these are like smaller things, like introduce Courtney to one of our partners, reach out to this, driveway lights, like small, like little things.
So I'm definitely a culprit of having things available to me and then not using them. So this is great. But I'm more of like, I use the Notes app. You can make like little check boxes on it and like click
like
on when you're
OneNote?
done. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. OneNote's good with that too if you want to keep it running. And so these tasks, now, I don't know if you'll be able to hear this. Maybe I'll turn my media up and hopefully nobody calls me. And maybe you'll be able to hear it in the microphone, but when I do this, so like if I click on this task, it'll be like, and of course it didn't make a sound, but it goes, "Ba-king!" And then it like vibrates a little bit, so to give you that like impression of like a dopamine hit.
Right.
Which is pretty cool. So I do like to do, it does sync with your Microsoft 365. You log in with your Microsoft credentials. And it syncs with another application that we're going to get into, and that application is Planner. Which do you use? We don't really use Planner, I feel.
Not really.
So Planner is, and it'll soon be apparent why we don't really use Planner as an organization. But Planner is, have you heard of Trello?
Yes.
It's Microsoft's version of Trello, which is a Kanban board or Kanban board for.
Was like Monday? Is that similar?
Monday's similar.
Okay.
Yeah. And it is, so a Kanban or a Kanban is essentially like the sticky notes. Like you have them on a wall and you move the sticky notes from, next swim lane to swim lane. So you have, everything on the wall and you have tape.
Exactly.
Not started, in progress, under review, complete, and you move the sticky note, That is essentially a Kanban board or Kanban. And Planner is the same thing. So Planner is you create these little cards, you write a title in it, start date, end date. You can label it, which changes like the color. So you'll see some people who use the old sticky note, which I feel like people don't really use the sticky note. Have you ever seen anybody do that in person with actual sticky notes?
Moving them from task
Yeah.
to task? I mean, I would use sticky notes, but just like
I
would never move it.
You
Yeah.
don't use the swim lanes?
No.
Yeah. So I've worked for a few organizations that do that. They have like the areas on the wall, like on a big wall, and then they'll
Interesting.
move them around with a sticky note. And the sticky notes could be color coded.
Right.
And so like orange sticky note means, development team, blue sticky note means marketing, or I don't know,
Right.
whatever. And so you can do something similar to that with Microsoft Planner, where they're called labels, and labels have colors, and then you can move those through and write rules around it. You can assign the task to people within your organization, and then you can create checklists within the Planner item itself.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll show you. It's actually a pretty powerful tool. Have you? And you've never? I don't think we've ever used it. Maybe for your onboarding. That's
I
probably the last
might
time.
have used it for the other part. So like with Haley,
Yeah. Yeah.
just like day-to-day tasks.
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
You're right. We do use it for smaller things. Our onboarding portal is built in Planner because you can replicate Planner boards, and yeah, it's a pretty good tool.
But we basically do the same thing in Azure.
We use Azure DevOps.
Yep.
Which is why we don't use Planner. And so To-Do and Planner sync both of their tasks into Microsoft Teams, which I believe it's called Tasks. And so in Microsoft Teams, you can pin something called, it's called Tasks by Planner and To-Do. And so I actually just clicked on mine, and now I'm getting like it's way too many tasks. Hopefully those are not all my tasks, because that's a lot of tasks. But and they're all assigned to me. But here in the application itself, which is pinned to Planner or Microsoft Teams, you get Planner and you get To-Do, so you can see all your tasks, anything that's important that somebody has marked as read. anything that's planned, anything that's assigned to me. And then there are like different planner boards and stuff like that. So if you had like gifts, so like that's my wife has a planner board called Gifts for Me. So she can like, do you guys do that?
Add things on there?
You and your fiance, do you guys create like lists for like?
I have a list in my phone of like things that he mentions.
That he just randomly mentions.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you don't create anything for like.
Shared?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we do.
Apparently I'm the most unorganized person in the world. I was thinking about doing a shared calendar the other day, though, because...
Well, you guys aren't married yet, to be fair.
We're not, but we do a lot of things.
Do you have a shared, like, bank account? Yeah. Good. Not yet.
Yeah.
When you say I do, get one, you know? But leading up to that, you know?
Nope.
Not to say that he would take your money and run, but...
Better not.
There's no legal course of action you could really take, you know. Anyways, but yeah, we use we do have a shared bank account. We have a few shared bank accounts.
We also have a business together, so that's very different.
That is true. Yeah.
That would make sense. I would hope so.
Well, yeah.
You do own your entire.
Well, we do have a lot rolled up into.
You basically own me.
I don't own you. Don't get out of here with that.
I love my job. I'm just kidding.
You do. You are an employee of mine and a very good employee of mine. But we have shared lists. So like, I have my house to-do list, and I'm just going through my to-do right now. So like, yeah, I have to add a seal to the front door apparently. What is this? Fix the paint and floor in the stairs. From the desk. I guess a desk scratch something. I don't know. But there are like to-do lists, right? So this is like my honey-do list, you know, which it looks like there's like 15 things on here that I got to get to. But you can share these out is the point of this. You can create a personal list and to-do. You can share it out, which we do have bricks. So everybody has their bricks list, which we don't do this really anymore because we have Azure DevOps. But when we weren't using Azure DevOps, everybody would create their own individual bricks list. And then here I have like... here's like Courtney's bricks, Haley's bricks, Roy's bricks, you know, other people. And then I can see if they're getting their mission critical things done for the day. Right. So that's a shared way and something you can do with Task by Planner and to do. It's cool. Planner, again, you have the calendar view, you have a reporting view. So you can look at overview of like how much things have been accomplished, how much things have, are still in progress, how many things are late or overdue, and then you can look at the traditional Kanban board as well. So that's Planner and To Do and how they kind of integrate together, and they integrate with Teams as well, which is if you're listening to this podcast, well, I guess not everybody listening to the podcast uses Microsoft 365, but that would be a good little tidbit there, is that most of the applications, if not all of the applications within Microsoft 365, you can integrate with Teams by just hitting the three dots and hit a plus and then add that app into Teams. Planner, To Do being one that share the same, and you can group by your 365 groups. You can see your shared lists, and then you can, like we talked about, see the important ones and the ones that are assigned by me. So what was the next application that we have here?
So the next one is Microsoft Project.
Yeah. So Project is a tool that is not new by any means. Microsoft Project has been around for a good while, and it kind of got its start in the desktop and then progressed into the cloud, and used to sync through what was called Project Web App, which was this way to create SharePoint sites, team sites, around project planners and project groups. And it was super confusing, and it was like Teams before Teams. And so now with the creation of Microsoft Teams, that was a natural fit for Microsoft Project. And so Project now is, think of it as like a Gantt chart. Are you familiar with what a Gantt chart is?
Well, no, but I was reading about it yesterday.
Nice.
But it's basically like a timeline view.
It is a timeline. Yeah. So, yeah, exactly, a timeline. A Gantt chart is just a visual representation of start and end dates and predecessors. So you have a task, right? So Sydney, if we're building a house, right? You can't hang the windows or install the windows before you like have walls, right?
Right.
So there's predecessors. You can't install the door until you have the door frame. You know, anybody from Presidential listening might disagree with some of the things I'm saying about a house, but you know, but there are predecessors to things that you have to do, right? You can't get a drink from the refrigerator until you open the refrigerator door, right? There are predecessors. And so in Microsoft Project, you create tasks and subtasks, and you can group them together and then view them in a Gantt chart. And like the rest of the things in Microsoft 365, you have the ability to sync these with Microsoft Teams. You have the ability to use Azure Active Directory groups. You have the ability to group these things together so that you can, you know, one, grant access to people for the project, and then you can create like subtasks and development tasks and dependent tasks.
Okay, so tasks that need to be done before something else can be done.
Exactly.
And it also says that they added 2 more views, so you can look at it as a grid or a board now too. So
that's right.
Very much the same.
Which is so that's good. So like I'm glad that we went about it in this order, because To Do or Outlook is kind of the starting point, or could be a starting point. That populates To Do. To Do populates Planner,
Which is basically a board.
which is a board in Project.
Exactly.
So we're getting more and more complicated here as we go. And so that's like the big 3. Now, Microsoft Project does cost money. There is still a desktop application if you want to get like super crazy with it. Like you can run reports. What else does it say about Project? The multiple views. So you have the grid, which is essentially just a SharePoint list, right? Then you have the board, which is the cards, kind of similar to a Kanban, which is new in the web. You didn't used to be able to do that when it was the desktop. And then you have the timeline, which is the Gantt chart, which has been around for forever. Is that all? Did we go through all of them?
Outlook we touched on, so flagged emails, creating tasks from that flagged content. This is talking about too that you can sync it with your Cortana.
Oh, that's cool.
Will sync with Outlook and 365 and make lists for you that way.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So interesting. So you just click on Cortana. Let's see if she knows what I have to do. I do see Project.
Yep.
That's cool.
So they say it's as simple as telling her to create a list.
I'm going to try right now. Create a list. And she opened Spotify. What do you want to call your list? Sydney's list. I spelled your name wrong. I create a list for you. What do you want to add to it? Create marketing video. And now it looks like they created a list for me, and it worked. I can edit it in To Do. That's pretty cool.
Look at that.
I didn't know you could do that. I did not know that was a thing. So there you go. You can just say, hey, Cortana, create a list and add,
whatever.
Create a grocery list for me, call it grocery list, and add get milk, which makes sense. Why wouldn't you be able to do that? Alexa can do that, right?
Exactly.
That's cool. So Cortana. So we have Outlook, To Do,
Office. So this is more so like Teams. So the @mentions are probably what I use a lot.
Yeah.
We definitely use that every day,
Every day.
especially within Teams
Yeah.
to tag people in different groups and things like that. Or just say, hey, you need to finish this. If you comment it on a document or something like that, it'll remind you, hey, so-and-so mentioned you. You need to do this now.
Yeah. And then in those Teams messages, you can integrate Planner and Project and even Azure DevOps and Jira. Jira, which is a third-party tool, which I don't recommend anyone necessarily use Jira because of the expense. I mean, it's $10. At least it was. Who knows what it is now. but it was $10 for the cloud version for 10 users, so $1 a person. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but when you get past 10 users, it gets a little bit more expensive. But when you think about it, you already have the tools. You don't really need Jira. You have Azure DevOps if you have Microsoft 365, depending on your license, of course, but we use Azure DevOps.
And then there is one more, too, that I thought was cool. And this would be more so for remote businesses, but probably with a larger reach. So it is talking about task publishing. So it specifically mentions like retail, healthcare, anybody with a dispersed workforce. It can help you streamline task management across your workforce.
What's that called?
Task publishing.
Task publishing.
Yeah, so there's a whole article about it. And then another one that it mentioned was Loop.
Yeah.
Which I saw Austin.
We started using Loop.
Austin made a Loop the other day, I saw.
Yeah, we did start using Loop.
Which I need to figure out how to get back to so I can check off my task
that
he assigned to me.
It's in your Microsoft Teams. So if you go into Teams and you create a chat, or you can do it in either a chat, a channel within a team. And then your loops, there are like, so like here, I can create a loop for you right now. So in our conversation, there's like a little like 3-dot thing, and then you can just type in loop, and then
I see it here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it's right there. So you have stream, you have praise, you have approvals, which is like an approval flow, which plays into project management as well. So if there's something that you want to get accomplished, you click approval, and then it'll create a task, and I can send it to you, and then you can either approve or reject it, which I use this all the time. For our team. Whenever somebody's like, hey, can you approve this? I'm like, send me an approval flow.
Right.
But yeah, Loop's in there. Booking is in there. Yeah, that's where it is. So if you click on Loop, which is the third one now, they've moved it up. So you have the stylize or the format, you have attach, and then you have Loop. And then within Loop, you can, create a bulleted list, or I believe one already exists, right? Is that where you're able to find the ones that you already have, or how did you find it?
Well, it made a chat. He did it within a chat, so I found it within the chat.
Okay.
But,
yeah, we just started using Loop. What do you think of it so far? Was this the first time you've seen it used?
Yeah, there's only 3 things on it, so I mean, I just marked them off for him. So.
Yeah, it's
but
similar.
yeah, you can select due dates and things like that. Who it's assigned to. It's super helpful.
Yeah, similar to do.
Right.
I feel like you could use either or.
They're all they integrate well.
Yeah. Yeah, you could pick whichever one you wanted, I guess. Loop, I'm still trying to figure out a use case for a Loop, to be honest. I think, what does the article say about Loop?
Hybrid and asynchronous ways of working people into more fluid way to create and maintain context as they collaborate with their team.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I feel like it's one more. I feel like Microsoft does this a lot, where they'll just like release things that are like almost unnecessary. You're like, you already have this product, you know. Why are you complicating the wheel? But
It
cool.
works.
Loop. I mean, Loop is built directly into Teams, so that makes it cool. Whereas
maybe
To Do
a little bit more,
a little more
bit
user friendly
to access. Yeah.
So you don't have to go to Do or do anything like that.
Exactly.
It's just right there. So maybe Loop will become part of To Do. I bet you it will. I bet you there will be some sort of an integration in the future, because that's how To Do used to be called Tasks, and then they changed it to Do, and then To Do synced with Planner, because it used to be the Outlook tasks were totally just in Outlook,
Right.
and you had to go to Outlook to see your Outlook tasks, and then they were like, all right, we're moving this to over here, but we already have Planner, but we'll make them the same thing, and now they're all in the same place. So there you go. Those are your ways. Did we miss anything?
No, I think we got them all.
We got all of them. Guys, I would highly suggest that you approach your day as such. And this goes for really any sort of project management. First off, you want to go the simplest route first. So the simplest route for winning your day is busting out a piece of paper and writing the things down that you have to do today and scratching them off when you get accomplished. If you need to do more than that, that's when you associate technology and you take a look at what technology you have. We just gave you some very good ideas as to what you can implement. But remember, collaborative intelligence is the idea here, you know. So keep it simple, stupid, which is that still what KISS stands for?
I've heard it.
Yeah. It used to be keep it simple, stupid, but I don't know if they changed that up to keep it
simple, you dummy.
Keep it simple, you idiot. But yeah, that's I would write everything down first, then build your way into to-do, then build your way into planner, then go to project. So we kind of gave you the hierarchy here. And use Cortana. I use Cortana a lot. I didn't use Cortana for to-do, but I think I will now.
Yeah.
Why not? I use it for like alarms, weather. What else? Do you use Cortana or you have an Alexa device, right?
Yeah.
So you use Alexa.
At my house. On my phone I have Cortana.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
What do you use for it on your phone?
Nothing.
Nothing. Because you have Siri.
Well, I don't have Siri.
You don't have Siri. You have an Android.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I have an Android too. And whatever his
it's
name
much
is.
easier, I feel like, Microsoft on Android.
It's like Bixby? No, it's Google.
Bixby.
Okay, Google.
But there is a Bixby.
There is a Bixby. Yeah.
Either one. Who knows?
I don't use Bixby. Bixby, to me, whenever Bixby comes on, I'm like, dude,
It's
out.
an accident. How do I get out of it?
How do I need to do that?
How do I exit out?
But I do use a Cortana. And then I do use Alexa. And I use To-Do Project. I've been on roles where we use Planner pretty heavily, which all of these, Project, Planner, To-Do, and even Azure DevOps, integrates with Power Automate. So you can automate things so that if you were to get an email that says, Sydney, do this in the subject, then they could create a planner task for you. Or if somebody filled out, like what we do for our support tickets, somebody fills out a form, and then that form creates an Azure DevOps ticket. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, it does that.
Did not know that.
Pretty cool.
The more you know.
I know.
I will
you know.
work on
So
making
now you
a
got to get
routine
what do you
for
have to do now?
myself.
You have to write things down.
I have to make my bed.
You got to make your bed. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you're going to take on.
I'll start integrating.
It's small steps, you know?
Steps.
But start by
Build
making
a
your
foundation.
bed. You'll feel better about yourself for making your bed, I promise.
I do on the weekends.
That's like the exact opposite.
I make my bed on the weekends.
Just
the door's closed, the dogs eat things, so I don't see it. Out of sight, out of mind.
Okay. I make it most weekends. I don't. I would say like the days that I do make the bed is Monday through Friday, and that's because like I want to be productive. I will say that today Haley made the bed. I didn't make the bed today. I did see that it was made, but I didn't make it. But that's because I took the kids to swim this morning. Usually she takes the kids to swim, and usually I'm the last one out. So today she was the last one out. But yeah, we make our bed. Get Evan on board.
I sleep later.
He'll be into it.
I get like 3 more hours of sleep.
By what? Not making the bed?
No, just in general over him.
Oh,
so.
over him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he doesn't make the bed.
He has an office job.
He would never make the bed because he leaves like butt crack of dawn.
Right.
Doesn't he leave at like 5?
No.
Not that bad?
Usually like 6:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Awful.
What time do you generally get up?
Oh, I have to be on stand-up at 9:15, so I get out of bed at about 8:30.
Okay, that's not bad.
Mm-mm.
Do you set an alarm?
Yeah.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Do you get up before your alarm?
I have one for 8:15, 8:20, and 8:30.
Oh, man. 3 different alarms? So you're that kind of sleeper.
I'm up, but I just have them in case.
So I will tell you that
I'm slow to get up, so I'm up, but I know I have 15 more minutes to like
you're like,
browse.
I'm just gonna like lay down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't set an alarm in 3 years.
I like to sleep. I would need it.
I don't set an alarm.
I would keep
Mine
sleeping.
all naturally. I just wake up all naturally.
Oh no! On the weekends, we probably wake up. We wake up like
Just abruptly.
10 o'clock.
Who sets the alarm? You?
Nobody on the weekends.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
We
you
wake
do-
up at like 10 o'clock,
Wait,
10:30.
Oh, okay. That's when you wake up all naturally.
I wake up for an alarm. I wake up to his alarms all the time.
What kind of phone does he have? Android or
An iPhone.
So
He does not wake up to
Is it that one?
It's different, but he doesn't wake up to alarms. So I probably wake up 20 times before I actually need to wake up.
I used to have an iPhone. I have an Android now. But the iPhone alarm that I had was not the peaceful chime or whatever it is, you know?
I think I just have a Spotify song.
It was like a terrible alarm. Like an alarm, you know, like
No.
death.
Mine's
you know?
Spotify.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Do you pick the song?
Mm-hmm.
What's the song?
It's a you wouldn't know it.
I wouldn't know it.
It's called The Elevators and Pepper. So let it all out. I'll play it for you after.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
It's just the I mean it gets through like 5 seconds.
Right. Is that a new song? Is that why you said that I wasn't gonna know it?
It was just reggae. You probably
I'm you know, I enjoy reggae. I'm not like a big reggae fan.
I'll play it for you after.
Okay.
See if you like it.
There we go. So there you go. For now, that we went over morning routine. So, you know, for those of you who are remote workers, you might not have to set an alarm, but if you do, Sydney says to make it music and make it reggae.
Yeah. Put you in a good mood.
Make it elevators. Is that what it's called?
I love the elevators.
There you go. Make it
They're great.
elevators. And
Go
then when you get out of
elevators.
bed, you make your bed.
Mhm.
And then I write my lists of what I have to get accomplished in the day before. You do it as you go, which is there's no real.
Yes.
It's whatever works for you, really. But the key here, guys, write things down before you introduce technology, and definitely use manualized technology before you automate it. So
Exactly.
super manual, somewhat manual, then you can automate. Don't jump to the end. It'll be bad, and then you'll be mad at tech when really it was you who screwed up. All right, so that's the podcast. We did another one. Look at that. We did a couple this week. We did like 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're building up because the holiday season's coming up. Are you traveling at all for the holidays?
Well, if we go anywhere for my fiance's work,
Is it Mexico again?
I heard it was Dominican Republic, but I've not heard anything else about it, so I don't know.
Yeah, because it's like a special club,
Flights
right?
are expensive, so I would like to know.
Like to know.
Soon.
Like to get an idea.
But yes, if we are, then I will go on that.
Okay.
But
That's the first week in December?
I think it's like middle of December.
Middle of December, like right
Mhm.
around Christmas?
Like
You don't
2
got
days.
anything else to do around Christmas, right?
Who does? But
Yeah,
free
why-
vacation, so
Why
I will
not?
take it.
What about Thanksgiving? You do anything for Thanksgiving?
So my whole family's here, so we usually just
They're all
go
in
to
town.
Mhm.
So it's just like everybody goes to
most of them.
somebody's
so,
house.
Yeah,
You guys go to the same house every year?
generally.
Generally.
hmm
And whoever gets Thanksgiving, somebody else gets Christmas kind of a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're very what is it, tradition.
This is the way
we
it
have
is.
lots of traditions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about, we got Halloween coming up.
hmm
Are you?
Usually we go. Yeah. No.
Is that a big deal in your family?
People used to come to my parents' house. Like when I had little cousins and things like that. They'd all
Mhm.
come over, but now they're all grown up and
They're all adults.
yeah. So I'll probably still go over there. We usually have like chili.
Yeah, that's pretty fall.
Mm-hmm.
Have some hot cider.
Yeah.
Eat
Just
some
make some chili and
give some candy out.
yeah. I live in an apartment, so I can't do that. So
Kids don't knock on apartment doors?
not on mine.
Yeah. I've never lived in an apartment.
You're lucky.
I never have.
You are lucky.
I lived in townhomes. Like I lived in a house, my first place, it might as well have been an apartment, but it was a townhome. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it was a 2-bedroom townhouse that was not, like, when you think of a townhouse, you think of like this tall building. It was
So
apartment stacked on itself.
they call ours a 2-bedroom townhome, but it is an apartment. It's in a building. We do have 2 floors, which is nice, which
Yeah.
not everybody does.
Yeah.
But it's like when there's 3 floors, like with 3 or 4, 4, and 4.
But you have to get upstairs to get to your door?
We're on the top floor, and then we have 2 floors. Nobody
right.
else does.
That's kind of cool.
But yeah.
No, ours was ground floor,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody came trick-or-treating. It was like a college town, so nobody came
Right. There's
knocking.
no children.
Nobody came. Yeah, I didn't really have a Halloween until we moved to the suburbs. That was like the first time I encountered trick-or-treaters.
Aw.
And I didn't buy enough candy.
You never know. It's hard to tell.
Yeah. Well, Well, there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Enjoy the holidays. I'm sure we're building up a bunch of podcasts to release so that you can enjoy the holidays, but I'm sure this won't be the last time that we record.
Maybe we'll do a Christmas special.
We have to do a Christmas special.
We should do a Thanksgiving special with like everybody in the company.
I like that.
Like a little family.
That's a good idea.
Dinner.
We'll have to make a to-do of that.
Yeah.
So we manage it. I'll send you a loop.
Okay, perfect.
Nice. We'll add it to the Azure DevOps. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure that you are subscribing to our YouTube. So like, subscribe. We put up podcasts once a week, every Monday.
Every Monday.
And then what's the rest of the schedule?
For the rest of the week, usually
for YouTube's.
Tuesdays is a Microsoft Now 365 update. So the latest in all things Microsoft 365. Usually Kimmy does that. And then Wednesdays I post. What do I post?
It was like the how-to videos, I think, right?
Yes, exactly. Like a tutorial or something like that from Capital Presence. And then Thursdays usually a reel of some sort.
Yeah.
And Fridays.
Shorts.
Yeah, usually another short.
Yeah. Well, we got a bunch of content up there.
Mm-hmm.
Like and subscribe. Take a look at what we got going on up there. Where we made a huge push this year to push out more content on YouTube, and there's a ton of it there. This podcast being part of it. We are live on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, pretty much anywhere you listen to a podcast, you can download the episodes. So subscribe to our podcast as well. If you're on iTunes, leave us a review. We don't run ads. We're never going to run ads. So if you just want to leave us a review and share it out, we would be eternally grateful, and that would be the fee, so to speak, rather than us going in making you listen to like Reese's Pieces commercials or something. I don't know. But guys, that's the show. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks, guys.
It's been fun. Remember to like and subscribe. I'll have to say it again. But also, remember to live every day like it's Saturday. That's our vibe here, right? All right, guys. Well, thanks for hanging out. And until next time, salute.
Bye.
Hey there. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for all the latest videos from Capital Presence.